She didn't know she was being watched. It was a rainy Tuesday evening, and Emma, a young waitress in a quiet Ohio diner, was working her double shift. Her sneakers were soaked, her apron stained, and her smile, still real. She wasn't doing it for a promotion or praise. She was doing it because that's who she was. When the old man walked in, drenched and shivering, no one noticed him, except Emma. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days. Emma didn't ask for his order. She brought him a warm cup of soup, a fresh sandwich, and paid for it out of her own pocket. What she didn't know was that old man was Mr. Blake Donovan, CEO of one of the largest hospitality chains in North America. He was undercover, searching for something money couldn't buy: kindness. Emma's kindness was genuine, unfiltered, rare. But the next morning, she was fired. The diner's manager accused her of giving away free meals without permission. She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just smiled and walked out, whispering, "I'd do it again." What happened next stunned everyone. Within 24 hours, a video clip went viral. Mr. Donovan, now back in his suit, released the footage and shared Emma's story online. "This is what real hospitality looks like," he wrote. The world listened. Emma was offered a new job, at triple her pay, as the head of guest experience at Donovan Hotels. Her act of compassion not only gave her a better life, but inspired millions across the globe to lead with kindness, even when no one is watching. She didn't do it for recognition. Emma never cared for titles or applause. For her, kindness wasn't a grand gesture. It was a quiet decision made every single day, especially when no one was looking. She grew up in a small town, raised by her grandmother who believed in one simple rule: always help someone if you can, not for a reward, just because. That lesson never left her. So when life got harder, when rent crept up and tips dried out, Emma didn't change. She still gave warm smiles, still refilled coffee without being asked, still remembered the stories of the regulars who came in just to feel seen. Her kindness wasn't seasonal. It wasn't for the good days only. It lived in her bones. On that stormy evening, when the wind slapped the diner windows and the clock ticked past 10 p.m., Emma could have packed up and gone home. Her shift was done. Her feet were aching. But something told her to stay just a little longer. That's when he walked in. Wet coat, trembling hands, empty eyes. The kind of man most people try not to see. He took a seat near the back, far from the warm light. No one else bothered. To the manager, he was a problem. To the few diners left, he was a shadow. But to Emma, he was someone's father. Someone's friend. Someone who'd been beaten up by life, but hadn't given up yet. She didn't ask if he could pay. She didn't calculate the cost. She just brought him hot soup, a soft sandwich, and a napkin. "Take your time," she whispered. That moment, tiny, gentle, easy to overlook, was everything. Because what Emma didn't know was that the man in front of her wasn't just another drifter. He was Mr. Blake Donovan, the billionaire CEO in disguise. The man whose company trained thousands in customer service, but who had grown tired of fake smiles and surface-level charm. For weeks, he'd traveled from city to city, pretending to be just another face in the crowd, searching for one real act of kindness. And there, in a humble little diner, he found it. Emma didn't know. She didn't care. She didn't do it for him. That's what moved him most. But when the truth came out, and it did, Emma wasn't rewarded. She was fired. No warnings. No meetings. Just a short, cold message: "You're not allowed to give away free food. This is a business, not a charity." She stood there quietly, the empty locker in front of her. No tears. No pleading. Just a soft sigh and a smile. That man needed help. "I'd do it again." She walked out into the same rain she'd helped someone else escape from the night before. And that could have been the end of it. But real kindness has a way of circling back. By the next day, the security footage had made its way to Mr. Donovan's team. He didn't release it to expose the diner. He released it to show the world what humanity still looked like. The video went viral within hours. People shared it, cried over it, got angry at the injustice, and inspired by the purity of her gesture. She didn't do it for views. She didn't even know it had been recorded. But the world watched it anyway. And the world responded. Letters poured in. Messages from people in New York, Toronto, Manchester, Seattle. People who said they'd been changed by that one simple act. I was about to give up on people, one man wrote. Then I saw Emma. Donovan offered her a new role, no interview needed. She became head of guest experience, overseeing hospitality across all of his hotel chains. Her first paycheck had more zeros than she'd ever seen. But even then, she still showed up early, still remembered staff birthdays, still brought extra coffee for the janitor on night shifts. Because Emma's story wasn't just about one free meal. It was about what happens when we choose kindness when we don't have to. When we give without expecting anything in return. When we see people, not just positions or appearances, but people. Selflessness, the real kind, is invisible at first. It doesn't tweet itself. It doesn't wait for cameras. It doesn't ask, what's in it for me? It just is. And the truth is, most selfless acts go unnoticed. The teacher who buys snacks for the hungry student. The Uber driver who listens to someone cry in the back seat. The stranger who pays for a mother's groceries quietly and walks away. No articles. No headlines. Just quiet kindness. But here's the thing about that kind of goodness, it plants seeds. And sometimes, one seed is enough to grow a forest. Emma didn't just change her own life. She reminded the world that being kind isn't a weakness. That in a time of division, cruelty, and exhaustion, a warm bowl of soup offered with love can still shake the world. So if you're wondering whether your small kindness matters, if you ever feel like being good in a world that doesn't notice is a waste of time, think of Emma. She lost her job and gained the world's respect. Because kindness, real kindness, doesn't need a witness. But when it gets one, it becomes unstoppable. And you never know who's watching. Maybe it's the CEO of a billion-dollar company. Maybe it's a broken soul who just needed someone to care. Or maybe it's the world, waiting to be reminded of what's still possible. Rules were made to run systems. But humanity was made to break them when it meant doing the right thing. It wasn't that Emma hated rules. She followed them. She cleaned up on time, clocked in early, followed every step of the diner's outdated manual. But when the moment came, the real moment, the one that demanded not protocol, but heart, Emma chose humanity. The world had taught her that most systems don't reward kindness. That most companies don't care about the right thing, only the bottom line. But she had always believed differently. Somewhere deep inside her, through every low-paying job, every late rent notice, every fake smile she was forced to wear, she still believed that people mattered more than profit. And that belief, that's what made her different. Because in most places, kindness is optional. In many businesses, compassion is considered a liability, and empathy, often seen as weakness. We live in a time where efficiency is worshipped, where every action is measured in dollars, data, or likes. But what if the one thing that can't be measured is the only thing that truly matters? That's what Emma showed the world. The night the CEO walked in, dressed in tattered layers, trying to disappear into the background, Emma saw him. Not as a homeless man, not as a burden, but as a human being. Her manager saw a loss. She saw a life. Her co-worker saw trouble. She saw a chance to help. In a world built on cold policies and stricter rules, Emma chose warmth. She didn't need to check a manual to know what to do. Her instincts weren't programmed by training modules. They were carved by love, pain, and a life that had taught her what it means to have nothing and still give. Because when you've been at the bottom, you know how heavy silence can feel. You know what it means when someone looks right through you, as if you don't matter. And you know how powerful it is, how healing it is, when someone finally sees you. That's what Emma did. And that's exactly what most businesses forget. See, the heart of every industry, hospitality, retail, service, it isn't product. It isn't numbers. It's people. And when companies forget that, they lose the very soul that made them great in the first place. Emma's story exposed this in the rawest, most uncomfortable way. A girl gave food to a hungry man. A company punished her. A CEO came to find empathy. A waitress gave it freely. She was fired for doing the very thing that businesses claim they stand for. The irony was brutal, but the reaction was louder. The moment Blake Donovan revealed the truth behind the diner incident, there was no going back. His speech, calm, heartfelt, unscripted, cut through the noise. He said, "I've read hundreds of resumes, interviewed thousands of candidates. But what I saw in Emma can't be taught. That's what hospitality should be. That's what leadership should be." And suddenly, boardrooms across the country began having new conversations. It wasn't just about Emma. It was about the system. How had the world gotten so caught up in rules that it forgot the reason for those rules in the first place? How had businesses, built to serve humans, become machines that punished humanity? From New York to Vancouver, from London to Chicago, Emma's story became a case study. A mirror. A wake-up call. The very same companies that trained employees to say, "Have a nice day," forgot to train them to mean it. But Emma meant it. She meant it when she smiled. When she brought soup. When she risked her job for a stranger. And the world saw it. People started sharing their own stories. A flight attendant who helped an elderly woman get home, but was reprimanded for slowing down boarding. A cashier who paid for a mother's baby formula and was told she violated policy. A hotel cleaner who returned a lost wallet full of cash and never even got a thank you. These weren't isolated stories. They were symptoms. Symptoms of a system where real goodness often comes with a cost. But here's the twist. What Emma proved is that doing the right thing always pays off. Not immediately. Not in the ways the system understands. But in the ways the heart does. Because when she gave that meal away, she lost her job. But she gained her dignity, her voice, her purpose, and, eventually, a position more powerful than anything she could have imagined. Not just in title, but in impact. Emma became the quiet revolution. Donovan Hotels redesigned their training programs around her. Kindness over policy, their new slogan read. Employees were now encouraged to follow their heart, not just the handbook. And guess what? Customer satisfaction skyrocketed. Retention improved. Profits rose. Because when people are treated like people, when they're empowered to care, to feel, to connect, magic happens. Emma's journey reminded the world that rules are tools, not chains. That policies are guidelines, not boundaries for the heart. That every business, every system, every rulebook should leave room for compassion. Because sometimes, the right thing doesn't fit into a form. Sometimes, the right thing breaks the rules. And that's okay. In fact, that's necessary. We need more rule breakers like Emma. People who are willing to risk something to do the right thing. Not for the spotlight. Not for the reward. But because they still believe that helping someone in need, no matter what it costs, is never wrong. That kind of belief, it doesn't just change lives. It changes industries, cultures, countries. It reminds us that behind every job title is a beating heart. Behind every company logo is a story. Behind every act of kindness is a choice. And when someone chooses humanity over policy, like Emma did, they give the rest of us permission to do the same. Because that's how real change starts. Not in boardrooms. Not in press releases. But in tiny moments when someone chooses to care, even when the rulebook says not to. Emma's story may have started in a quiet diner, in a storm on a Tuesday night. But it echoed across continents. And in that echo, the world remembered something it had forgotten. That rules make order. But only humanity makes meaning. And when humanity leads, everything changes.